Okay, and our talks continue. Welcome to the Forest stage at ETH Barcelona. So I wanted to introduce to you Ulysse from APWine. Come on up. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Is that working well? Can you hear me all correctly? Awesome, cool. Yeah, just want to go back on this moment, actually. Let's make a moment together, because that sounds fun, and so we can all be together in the same picture. I'm just going to take a little selfie here. Hey, Barcelona! Thank you, everyone. All right. My name is Ulysse. I'm one of the co-founders of APWine Finance, and today I'm going to be introducing how to unlock tomorrow's production today. We're going to be talking about DeFi, of course. And just as a temperature check, I would like to, I can't see much with the lights, but I would like to know in the room, how many of you have ever tried DeFi, if you're still discovering, and how many of you have tried a yield-generating platform like Aave, Wiren, Balancer? Can you raise your hands if you tried it before? Okay, that's very good. Okay, basically 50% of people here tried it, so please hang on. The traditional DeFi farming flow is more or less like this. You take your DAI or your asset, stablecoin, anything, and you deposit it on a platform that generates yield. So in that case, it can be Aave. And you're going to be getting, what, 1 to 10% on stablecoins, right? And you're getting this yield, so this interest rate, throughout the year, so very, very progressively, block by block. Now, this has a big problem. The problem is that you're exposed to the volatility of interest rates. So if the interest rate goes down, you're also losing yield in the future. There is also a big risk of the APY, so the annual percentage yield, just going down to 0. And this is what we saw in the DeFi summer of 2020. For those who witnessed it, it was not uncommon to see 3-digit APYs that were just not sustainable, right? So that's an interesting problem. Now, imagine for a second, what if there was a way to get your DeFi interest in advance, ahead of time? This is what we do at APWine. This is the entire idea behind the project. The DeFi farming with APWine just adds one simple step. Once you've deposited on your platform of choice, for example, Aave, you're just going to deposit that again on APWine. And what we're going to do is give you your yield in advance. I'm going to explain how this works. Now, how is that possible? It works with two main components in the project, and I'm going to explain all these in detail so that it's easy to understand. The first component is going to be yield tokenization. The second one is yield marketplace, and we're going to see this one later. First, let's dive into yield tokenization. Yield tokenization basically takes as input a token that generates yield. So in that case, it can be a DAI. It's called an interest-bearing token because it generates yield over time. It takes this as input and outputs two different tokens. The first one is the principal token. This is representing the initial value of your deposit. The second one is the yield generated, and this is called the future yield token. So imagine for a second if you deposit 1 DAI on Aave, and then you deposit that on APWine. You're going to get two different tokens. The PT is going to be always worth 100 DAI. It's kind of like a picture of what you deposited. And then, this is where it gets interesting, the FYT is going to contain whatever has been generated throughout the year. So at the beginning, of course, it's going to be worth 0 at the beginning of the year, because nothing has been generated yet. And at the end of the year, it's going to contain whatever has been generated throughout the year. Now, we can kind of start to imagine how useful this process can be, and it totally makes sense to couple it with the yield marketplace. We're going to see how this works. Now that we understand yield tokenization better, let's dive into the marketplace. All right, forget about all that I said, and let's just focus on a very simple analogy. Imagine that there exists a platform like eBay, right? You use eBay maybe on a regular basis. You know how it looks like. It's very simple to use. Now, imagine if this eBay was allowing you to sell your salary in advance. Let's say, for example, you earn 70K a year, but you're willing to sell your salary 1 year in advance for 60K. Well, there's going to be someone else, if you're running low on cash, you may want to ask someone else, hey, do you want to buy my salary for a discount? And this person is going to say, yeah, sure, because I'm going to make a profit of 10K if I wait till the end of the year. Of course, this is obviously if you don't quit your job before the end of the year. But in practice, this is also the risk that the buyer is taking. So let's say this person buys your salary. You get your money in advance. You get 10K less, but you still get it in advance. And the person on the buying side is going to make a profit almost guaranteed. So it's really a win-win situation. And this is more or less what we do at APWine. Just replace the word salary with yield. And you get the kind of traditional finance to decentralized finance analogy, where here on APWine you can sell your yield in advance at a certain rate. So if you're earning 8% on AVE, you may want to sell it for 5%. And then the future yield tokens come here into place because this represents what can be bought in terms of yield. So this is how the entire buying yield functionality works. It's all around future yield tokens. Now in practice, we don't use eBay for APWine. We wouldn't even be allowed to do it. So we use what is called an automated market maker. And you have all more or less used it before, if you ever used Uniswap, Balancer, SushiSwap, or anything in the same sense. So on APWine, this basically simplifies the process of trading tokens on the blockchain, because else it would be very inconvenient. So the experience that you get on APWine selling your yield in advance is more or less what you would get on Uniswap. And the good news is you can actually try this marketplace right now. So it's open to all, it's on mainnet, on Polygon, and you can try it right now on app.apwine.fi. And to give you an example, if you're holding any ETH, USDC, DAI, any stablecoin, any assets supported by the platform, you can go ahead on APWine and get your salary, your yield in advance. This is, of course, only the first step, and there are many, many more aspects to explore in yield derivatives. This is a huge market with trillions of potential, touch. But this is only the first step. So there's a lot of things to build and explore. Yeah, that's an overview of APWine. I want to thank you all for joining this talk. I'm really happy that I got to introduce the project to so many people today, and I hope that you will try the platform. Come to me for any questions. I would love to explain more in depth, but I hope this was a clear first overview of the platform. And last but not least, please get in touch because we're hiring. We're looking to expand the team. Whether you're passionate about DeFi already or simply looking to discover and explore what's possible in the space, please get in touch. We're looking for developers and designers. Please follow me on Twitter to get in touch. And make sure to scan this QR code to get more information about APWine, the Twitter, the website, the application, you name it. And one last thing, we're going to be at EthCC in Paris this year, later this month. And we will be hosting a very, very nice party called La Dégène. So please check it on Twitter. It's all in the link. Awesome. Thank you very much for joining. And now it's time for questions. Yes, please. I think you were first.
Hey, so I have a quick question. So what happens if someone withdraw their deposit?
Absolutely. And that's a very good question. And the simple answer is that to make it to make the ecosystem like the platform neutral, of course, one PT is always linked to one FYT. So if you want to withdraw your initial deposit, you're also going to need the future yield token associated to it, which means that if you sell your salary in advance, you're not allowed to quit your job, right? So you need to keep your capital down there. Thank you for the question. That's great. Any other? Yeah, please.
Hello. Do you hear me? Yeah. Would you consider Element Fi your main competitor? And if that's the case, what are the differences between you and them? Key advantages or whatever that makes you different? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I could name, Element, Tempest, Pendle. There's a lot of competitors out there. But, in the end, we're all working on, the yield tokenization as a primary aspect. And then the global vision is to offer a suite of derivatives for APWine. So we're working on options. We're working on different AMMs for different types of tokens. This is not something I can talk about yet, but please stay tuned for what's coming. I would say for the V1 that we have right now, the main difference would be that the trading experience on APWine features the FYTs, whereas Element took the decision to focus only on PTs. So they focus on fixed rates, whereas we also offer yield in advance. And this is why I'm doing this talk today, because yield in advance is, in my opinion, a very interesting feature that lets you build very complex strategies on top of fixed rates, because fixed rates is one thing, but yield in advance opens so many other doors. And this is something you can do on APWine right now. Thank you for the question.
Hi, here.
Yes,
yeah.
please.
Hi, Yosu from Sextant. My question is, how do you make sure that the PT token stays like one-to-one? Because we thought a stake token from like a stake ETH from Lido was like one-to-one, and then we realized that there was no mechanism keeping it at par. So
that's a very good point. Yeah, okay. There needs to be a little bit of clarification here. At APWine, you can deposit IBTs, so interest-bearing tokens. So ETH is not an IBT. It's not even a token, in fact. But staked ETH is a yield-generating token because your balance increases in value over time. Now, to answer your question, you can make sure that one PT is always associated to FYT, to one FYT, because that's just how it was in the smart contract. So there is a piece of code that ensures that if you want to destroy one PT, you also need to destroy one FYT. And this is what I was saying before, that one PT is always associated to one FYT, because if not, the system would not be neutral. To generate $1 of yield throughout an entire year, you need that capital. So it needs to stay in the contract. As soon as there is a withdrawal, it always needs to be in the same amount. So let's say you deposit on APWine, you're never locked. So you deposit on APWine, and then you figure, wait, actually, I don't want to use it. So you just deposit, get your 100 PT, 100 FYT, for example, and then you would withdraw the same amount to get your initial deposit back. So you're never really locked, in fact. Even if you sell your FYT, you can still get out by selling your PT at a discount. But this gets a little bit more technical. I hope this was a good overview.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Right? Another question, nice.
Yeah, hi. I would like your opinion about similar kind of way of using your interest in advance that would be a project like Alchemix, that you take a loan against the deposit that you make, and the yield is being used to repay your loan. So in a sense, would be like using it in advance. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think Alchemix is a great platform, but in the core of the protocol itself, we work in very different ways. So Alchemix worked with, as you said, a debt-based position. So basically, you're taking a loan and you hope that it's going to repay itself. Now, yeah, that works, but in practice, you're also relying on the interest rates, and you're also exposed to probably, if the bear market really comes and hits you, you might be stuck there. APWine doesn't work with any kind of debt position or any liquidation or anything like this. So the only way that you could get out would be just buying back the yield and getting out. So it's really two different mechanisms. Now, to answer another part of your question, which was, what do you do, basically, what strategies can you do with future yield in advance? Well, I can think of a few examples that we could all do on a daily basis. Imagine, you have some capital that you're putting on Aave, and you're getting this in advance thanks to APWine. You can then pay for your gym subscription, your Netflix subscription. You can pay for some lunches ahead of time before you even have the capital in regular DeFi. So this opens up, this is just a little part, but this opens up the way to daily usage as well. Other applications could be for enterprises, DAOs who want to manage their risk on their treasury. And imagine if they have millions of dollars and they need to pay employees. What if they just used APWine, got their yield in advance, and paid employees with this, so that they don't even need to touch their treasury. That would be awesome. And this is definitely possible with APWine today. That's just one of the few uses, but there are so many strategies that we can think of. We're also sponsoring hackathons, and we're amazed to see every time how many people work on new strategies using APWine. One of them, for example, is the yieldception. So you've all seen the movie Inception, where there's like a dream, and then another dream, and then it gets pretty crazy. You could do the same with APWine. So getting your yield in advance, and then reinvesting this into yield again, get it in advance, and then do kind of a loop until it's not profitable anymore. I hope that was that answered your question.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please. I think this gentleman needs a mic. All right.
Yep. So I wanted to ask, because my concerns were about you're giving the yield in advance.
Yes.
So if you're using those AMM, that they basically depend on the volume and the TVL, how you can estimate that rewards that in that yields that you...
Yeah, that's a very good point. We all got very nice questions today. That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, TVL is, liquidity is crucial for any DeFi protocol. If there is no liquidity on Uniswap, on some token that you want to trade, you're not going to be able to do anything because there's going to be a huge price impact. Well, unfortunately, this is something that hasn't really been solved yet in DeFi. So it's more or less the same on APWine. We have liquidity mining, bootstrapping to make sure that there is enough liquidity to use the platform. But in reality, right now you can swap for $1 million worth of yield on APWine. But then if you go above this, there might be price impact, and this is where it could get more complicated. But this is definitely an issue in many DeFi protocols, and we're still early, right? Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
I hope there was maybe if there was other parts of the question I missed, let me know.
Yeah, it was fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Is there any other questions so far? All right. Then I guess it's clear. So I'm happy that there was a lot of interesting questions. I want to thank you again for joining this talk today. It was very interesting to explain the project as much as I can to you. And please give me feedback. Please get in touch on Twitter again. Follow me, get in touch. We can discuss if there's anything that was unclear. And I would love to give you a demo of APWine whenever you want. So thank you very much. Have a great conference. See you in Barcelona.
you.